Now imagine this, a scene in the heart of Rust Belt America. It's the home of swing states such as Ohio, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, states that have lost hundreds of thousands of factory jobs in the recession and the years before. That's what makes Cleveland-based Lincoln Electric such an anomaly. The non-union welding company has a guaranteed employment policy, guaranteed meaning it hasn't laid off a single employee for economic reasons in America in almost 100 years. CEO John Stropki began in Lincoln Electric's factories as a college student and worked his way up to CEO. He's here on the InsideTrack this morning. John, good morning to you.
Morning.
So here's a question. With a guaranteed employment policy for your American workers, that is a point worth making, though, right? It applies to your American factories only?
That's correct.
Okay, so which is to say that your overseas factories can be a little more flexible with the amount of people that they employ at any one given time?
That's true, and much of that's driven by the culture or the legal laws in the countries in which we operate overseas.
So this weekend on 60 Minutes, I'm not sure if you saw it, they were talking about jobs. Shouldn't surprise anybody. Leslie Stahl asked Jeff Immelt, the CEO of General Electric, whether a company like GE had a social responsibility to hire more people. And Jeff Immelt responded that he worked for investors. Now tell me, with the policy that you have in place, is there anything standing between working for investors and having the social responsibility either not to hire people or to hire more people?
Well, we don't look at it as a social responsibility. I think Jeff's correct. I mean, we focus on our shareholders and we focus on our customers. But we see that our obligation to these workers who help us create value for our shareholders and help us serve our customers as being a very important part of that agreement. And so they're not mutually exclusive considerations from our point of view.
Why do you think more people, more CEOs, more people in your position in America don't feel that way?
Well, it's not easy. I mean, it's a hard system to manage through. It's part of our embedded culture. As you said, we've had this system in place for nearly 100 years, so we know how to manage it. And we've got a hugely cooperative workforce who understands the parameters of how this program has to come together, and they cooperate to make it work.
So what do they give up in exchange for that job security?
Well, they give up a number of things, but they get a lot in return for it. The flexibility in terms of the work schedule. We work a lot of overtime when we're busy so that we're not arbitrarily hiring people that we know we can't employ for the long term. They also recognize that when things slow down, we're going to uniformly reduce the number of hours that our workforce works, but we keep them employed. So they know that they've got continuity of employment, and they've had it for nearly 100 years.
Now, is what you're doing unique to your business and your industry, or can you imagine the model that you've developed being replicated at other businesses, in other industries? Do you think other companies could do what you do?
Yeah, I think many companies could do it. It has nothing to do with the welding business. It has to do with a system that's worked very well for us, and we just happen to be in the welding business. We view this as a perfect way to provide long-term value to our shareholders because we keep the best employees of the world. We don't let them go. We don't have to retrain them. When we have a big pickup in our business, like we did coming out of the recession in 2009 and moving into an improvement in 2010, we had trained people ready to go, and we ramped up production immediately.
So if that's the case, why is it, in your opinion, that so many American companies seem to follow the boom and bust model? Hiring people when times seem to be good, firing people when times are bad, but having trouble, with all the things that you're able to avoid by having a workforce that doesn't change.
Again, I think it's just their knowledge and their comfort level with the system that they operate in, and our knowledge and the comfort level of the system of which we operate in.
But it's not good for the American economy. You know as well as I know that it's pro-cyclical. If you fire people during a downturn like what we're having now, it only makes the economy worse.
We agree with that, and I think if you look at Lincoln's history of performing, you'll see that our system has worked exceptionally well for our shareholders.
Well, it's a model that students at Harvard University have studied, and it seems to me that it's perhaps something other CEOs to study as well. John, a pleasure having you here in the InsideTrack.
Great.
John Stropki, the CEO of Lincoln Electric.